Hey, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 132nd episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are discussing whether karma really exists. But before we dive deep into this subject and that yellow brick road, it's your favorite time of the day, guys. You know what it is. It's Tasha's monologue. So let's get started.
Good job.
Thank you. So for all of you who have downloaded this episode because you have downloaded the Podbean app and you're listening, we want to say thank you. Because not only does that mean that you have, you're supporting the show, but you also can join the conversation. If you download the Podbean app, that's how you can add in comments. And so that way you can be heard. We want to hear from you. So make sure you do that. If you are not able to do that, please make sure you are at least subscribed to the show on any of the other platforms you're catching this on. So whether this is iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, any of the other platforms, you might be like, well, what are the other platforms, Natasha? Well, since I'm having a conversation with myself, you can totally go to WokeNFree.com and go on the listen tab. And that's where you can see where the show is on all the different platforms. So you might pick a different platform that you want to catch a show on and make sure you subscribe and follow there. Now, when it comes to sharing, guys, sharing is caring. So we really appreciate you listening, but we also really appreciate you getting the word out. There's no one better than a promoter than yourself. So get the show out to your friends, to your family, to literal strangers, guys. That's the commitment we're looking for here. Thank you. When it comes to social media, if you do want to find us, you can easily chat with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest at WokeNFree. And then, of course, if you have like 90 seconds, yes, like 90 seconds, then what can you do with them? You can do a lot with 90 seconds. But for our purposes, we would love for you to review the show. Why? Because that's how we get the word out more, as well as hear from you and hear how this is impacting your life, what you're getting from it, how you're enjoying it, what you want to hear more from, all of that good jazz. 90 seconds. You know what you got to do. Review the show on any of the platforms you're catching us on. So for instance, iTunes, 5 stars. And similarly across the board on Stitcher or Google Play or iHeartRadio or Spotify or any other platforms. So I think that's it for the monologue. What do you think?
It was a pretty good job, I guess.
You sound truly riveted right now.
Yeah.
Amazing, guys.
We're going to move on from that now.
Cool.
Each week we like to share a little bit about us before we dive into the topic for the episode. The last week we shared, would you, or actually.
Last share. It wasn't last week because, yeah.
All right. Edit that out. Last share was, would you rather eat ice cream every day for a year or go without ice cream for 2 years? This week we're asking, which beverage would you rather warm up with? Hot chocolate or hot tea?
Interesting question, because those are both kind of two different types of treats. But for me...
Treats?
Yeah, those are treats.
How is hot tea a treat?
Well, because if you're cold, then that could be quite a treat. I mean...
I don't consider it. I mean...
Because also some teas are can be really sweet and
I guess it can be.
But for me, I would say it depends on the mood, right? So if we're in dreadful New York, just kidding, not... maybe find out more. If I'm in a really cold place and I just literally just need to feel warm and safe with my hands, then I love a good hot cup of chocolate, and I like all the fixings. So I'm talking about the marshmallows, the whipped cream. If there's any type of sprinkles in there, like the full diabetic version of hot chocolate. If I'm trying to actually save my life and extend it, then I would like to go with a warm cup of mint tea. But my general preference is to always go for a warm cup of mint tea because I can't deal with the internal shame of drinking hot chocolate with my fixins.
Well, yeah, the hot chocolate's going to be more sugary.
Yeah.
That's what I would say on average. Mm-hmm. But that's why actually I would choose the hot chocolate, because I see that as more of the treat. Hot tea, I don't know. Well, I don't put too much stuff in it.
Treat, right?
Yeah. The hot chocolate, I think, is definitely, it's just like automatic, because you can have tea that's healthy. You can have tea that has no added sugars or anything.
Sure.
But the hot chocolate, you're starting off with sugar. It's not like you're having just straight up chocolate. Sure. You're having, there's all that, there's definitely sugar in it. There's added sugars that they put in those mixes. So that's the thing. I would take that because it's like, it's a tasty way to warm up. Tea is kind of just like something I could drink every day. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. Hot chocolate, I don't drink hot chocolate in summer.
True.
So
True.
That's the one that I prefer.
Nice. I'm glad that we got this out. I think this really was necessary for the day. Yeah.
It's a good segue into the next question.
Woohoo!
And that is, what is karma?
Not hot chocolate. That's what it isn't. But there's an interesting definition I came across on livescience.com. Again, guys, if you're new to the platform, all of the references that we make in our episodes are found on the website WokeNFree.com. So make sure you go there and you click on them, and that way you can also follow along the conversation there. Karma, a Sanskrit word that roughly translates to action, is a core concept in some Eastern religions, including Hinduism and Buddhism. Though its specifics are different depending on the religion, karma generally denotes the cycle of cause and effect. Each action a person takes will affect him or her at some point in the future. This rule also applies to a person's thoughts and words and the actions other people take under that individual's instructions. Today, people use the word karma in ways that are not wholly consistent with its traditional meaning. For example, karma is often misused to denote luck, destiny, or fate. Karma is also misused as a way to explain sudden hardships. With karma, like causes produce like effects. That is, a good deed will lead to a future beneficial effect, while a bad deed will lead to a future harmful effect. Karma is concerned not only just with the relationship between action and consequence, but also the moral reasons or intentions behind actions. According to a 1988 article in the journal Philosophy East and West. So if someone commits a good deed for the wrong reasons, making a charitable donation to impress a potential love interest, for example, the action could still be immoral and produce bad karma. And of course, it goes on to say, importantly, karma is wrapped up with the concept of reincarnation or rebirth, in which a person is born in a new human or non-human body after death. The effects of an action can therefore be visited upon a person in a future life, and the good or bad fortune someone experiences may be the result of actions performed in past lives. What's more, a person's karmic sum will decide the form he or she takes in the next life. Fascinating stuff there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts with that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think, the information you were spreading is probably what most people think about karma. They think about it as what goes around comes back around. Mm-hmm. But later on, I have an article that I was reading, and if you actually get down to the roots of it, like you're saying, the karma has been misinterpreted. Like, people have stretched it to mean far more than what it actually originally was intended. Mm-hmm. And karma actually exists in the mind. That's what even by the Hindu standard, they don't actually, it's not something that's like actually the universe, which people probably think that's where the karma comes from, the universe, but the Hindus actually think of it as a buildup in your mind. So like you'll take actions over the course of your life, and those actions will affect your everyday life. That's kind of what they're getting into. It's not about, oh, I did an action and the universe is keeping track and the universe is going to like change how it treats me based on that. It's more of, I did tons of good things that made me feel good. So now my interactions are mostly just good because that's all I'm used to. That's what my mind does. Yeah. That's kind of what really, when you get down to what karma is, it's not the universe getting you back. It's not like that. Yeah,
it's interesting. I going through this information, I definitely kind of took a step back or took a beat and said, I think I myself have misinterpreted karma growing up. Because I remember growing up thinking like, oh, if you do bad, you're going to have karmic consequence, but it's really not about that. It's really a reiteration of The Secret or the law of attraction.
Yeah, it's
right?
you attracting the bad, right? Because you're doing these bad actions
bad and you getting more bad, and not necessarily the universe saying I gotcha, but it's more like you in turn created that future outcome based on your present negativity. So I think it's just another form of how the law of attraction is so prevalent in our society, but people refuse to accept it or call it different names just because like people come from different parts of the world and different cultures. So it's interesting.
But what that does though, that means that if somebody does something that is inherently bad to others, but in their light good, technically it's okay for them. Like karma will not affect them in a negative way. It'll affect them in the way they think. So they might think it's positive. Therefore, more positive things will happen in their mind will happen. So see, it's karma. It's actually a personal thing. It's a personal psychological effect. It's not actually what most people think it is.
Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to our great country of America, do you believe the average American believes in karma?
Yeah, I think most people do actually. And I think they believe in that because just in general, when we do actions, there's usually some sort of reaction. There's something that happens. So if you drop a glass, it breaks in pieces. So people might think of that as karma because it's actually an action with a reaction. And even if you don't see like the clear outcome of something that you've done, we know that, you know, something still can come of it. So like if you spill some oil on the floor, you know, maybe nothing happens then, but somebody might slip on it or something, you know, it could cause some sort of thing. So we kind of know that like actions do create reactions. So I think people do believe in that sort of effect. And that kind of makes it easy to believe in just because in our everyday lives, actions have reaction. And then I think people want to believe in karma, just like I think kind of the misinterpreted karma, because it's like, it makes you feel good knowing that, oh, that person did bad and justice will be served, you know? So they think of it as a form of universal justice. Like you might escape our law, but karma is going to come back and get you. So I think Americans kind of believe in that sort of karma, but they're kind of misinterpreting what karma actually is. So it's kind of interesting there.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question because based on like what type of atrocities we hear in the news, to me, my first initial gut to answer the question would be like, probably not, or not? Yes, but they're not too concerned of the consequence, right? Because like, how could anyone harm and assault a child? How could anyone rape someone? How could anyone kill someone if you were deeply concerned about karma, right? So a part of me says like, sure, maybe, but it's not like prevalent on their consciousness because you would change your behavior. I feel like we would live in a less violent, less vindictive, less heinous environment if people were deeply concerned with karma. Otherwise, it's like, well then, I mean, are you just that gangster? Like, where you're like, I'm just gonna go and rape this person and I don't care about the karmic consequence. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on through people's heads. But what was interesting on Statista.com, there was a survey that went out on last year, 2019, in the kind of mid-January. And the question was, how strongly do you believe in the concept of karma? It was essentially an online survey for people 18 and older. There was over 1,220 respondents. And essentially the chart breaks down to the following. About 31% very strongly believed in karma. 34% somewhat strongly believed it. 18% not very strongly. 10% not at all. And 6% don't know. So, you know, again, I think that probably is in line with what I would have thought, that it wasn't the overwhelming majority of like 70% of people strongly believe in it, because I just think that it would be incongruent with the type of world we live in.
But almost 70% believed in it in somewhat. Though.
In some way.
They said they believe there's some effect of it. They didn't think that it didn't exist. Yeah. Very few people thought that it didn't exist at all out of that small survey. Yeah. So,
but either way, even if they do believe in it, that could be a whole separate episode on like, why are people not changing their behavior? If karma is real, then like, where are you at with your negative behaviors? Where are you at with how you treat people? It's not strong enough. Like, it's obviously there's no consequence, right? Like you said, there's no rules for it. There's no definitive path for understanding and applying it in your life. So maybe it kind of lives in the ether.
Because even if you believe in it, what does that truly mean? It's like, all right, you know, I did bad, and something's going to come around bad for me. You know, they're not going to they're going to put less coffee in my tea, in my cup, something like that.
They don't think it's
I'm going
like
to go,
a whole thing,
yeah, see, what does it mean? Like, what's the actual consequence? That's the thing.
I guess if there was like a karmic
and that's not how it works.
Of like enforcers, meaning, you got audited on your life on a yearly basis. And then people are like, okay, well, you cheated the government. You did this will now equate to a fine to this. And then I think people would be like if it was more like if karma was executed or karmic consequences were monitored by some type of governmental agency, then maybe people like the IRS, right? Like
yeah.
you'd be like, because most people know, listen, pay your taxes, do the right thing. Otherwise you're gonna, screw the pooch kind of thing. And it's not going to be a good thing. Hey there. Do you have a book that you want to share with the WokeNFree Nation? Are you a business owner looking to share your product or service with the podcasting world? Well, guess what? You can book an ad with us on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. We're super excited to speak with you about curating a unique ad that will get your message across the WokeNFree platform. So go to the Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That is WokenFree.com, because WokeNFree is more than a podcast. It's a way of life and offers an innovative way to promote your platform in the exploding podcasting space.
Does karma really exist?
To answer the question of the episode. Okay, so on Thrive Global, again, another resource that you can find on WokeNFree.com, it goes into sharing the following. Christianity teaches that one reaps what one sows. Galatians 6:7. In other words, your actions dictate the rewards or punishment that you receive. It might not happen right away, but you eventually receive what you deserve. In Greek mythology, there's a story about a character named Tantalus. He was originally favored by the gods and welcomed to Olympus. While there, he stole ambrosia from the gods to bring back to his people. Later, Tantalus invited the gods to his home for dinner. He murdered his son and offered parts of his son up as a meal. For these terrible acts, the gods gave Tantalus an eternal punishment. He was made to stand in a pool of water underneath a fruit tree with low branches. Whenever Tantalus reached up to eat, the branches moved the fruit out of his grasp. Whenever he reached down to drink, the water evaded his touch. That makes us want to believe so strongly in a world where actions have predictable consequences. So ultimately, the article goes on more to say kind of what are 3 key reasons why we want to kind of believe or think that karma really exists. We want to be in control. We like to believe that we have influence over events in our lives. We want to know that our good deeds will be rewarded with good outcomes and that the universe will acknowledge our actions. Another reason would be like we ascribe patterns to random information. So have you ever stared at the clouds and thought you saw one that looked like a face or an object? If so, you were experiencing pareidolia, which involves perceiving images or sounds in random data. Yeah, humans naturally try to ascribe meaning to things, whether the meaning strings things together, unrelated pieces of information, or mistaking chance events as recognizable patterns. In doing so, our brains create mental shortcuts to navigate around our environment and make informed decisions. Likewise, the just world hypothesis comes into play when we try to make sense of why certain situations occur. Yeah. Then the third reason would be we want to feel at peace. If there's anything our brains hate, it's the feeling of incongruity. We feel discomfort when we witness bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. In order to provide ourselves with a sense of well-being, we use coping strategy where we justify the results to our satisfaction. For instance, you might think she must have done something wrong to have that happen to her. She deserved what she got. Wow. Whether or not our conclusions are correct, our logical fallacy is good for our mental health. And so we keep ourselves sane in an unpredictable, irrational world. Personally, I would add that I do believe in karma. I believe, I have lived a life with, lots of challenges and obstacles like any other human being on this planet. However, I do believe that the blessings and the good things and my accomplishments I have earned and received and been blessed with are cosmically and karmically connected. I think that I do believe that good people have good things happen to them. And I think it's not because the universe universe is bowing down to them and saying, oh, let's just bless you. But it's like law of attraction, like you're creating your future. You're creating the life, you're designing the life you want based on the actions you take on a daily basis. So yes, but the only issue that I have with karma is that kind of like what I mentioned, I can't even remember if it was you or me, but that like, it's not always apparent, right? So like you can look at people currently who do bad things and it's like, sometimes you won't see the consequence of that action until many, many years later. And so in the present, it seems very unfair because that you could see that person doing bad and getting away with it. And then it's like, hey, where's the justice? Where's like, how are you prospering with your evilness? But so I think it's kind of frustrating because it's kind of like a patience game, which isn't always my strong suit, but it happens, right? You do get what's coming to you based on what you do, not the universe coming for you. Just too dang bad.
Yeah, karma's very interesting that way. Mm-hmm. And what I was talking about earlier was Oregon State actually has an article that they discuss how Buddhists view karma. And they classify it as a psychological phenomenon that causes you to experience the world in a certain way. They had research that shows people will actually perceive ambiguous situations in a positive or negative light, depending on if the person was exposed to a positive or negative stimulus. So, for example, if we are exposed to rude treatment and then watch a customer at a large department store demand money back, we might see the person as rude as well. We just fill in the details based on personal experience. So it's, like we could have something happen to us and just if that situation was negative, we're going to put that off onto new situations that we see. But if we had something positive happen, maybe we got a raise, we'd be like, oh, that's nice. The store's giving money back to the man, Mm-hmm. That's a really good store. So yeah, you could take two situations and see it in different light just because of psychologically how you were treated previously. Mm-hmm. And that actually, I didn't know that's actually like what karma is about. It's not about the universe, like you said, bowing down to your wishes. It's about you attracting certain things based on prior actions and prior experiences.
Yes.
And that's why, I would say that karma psychologically does make sense. I believe in The Secret, and I do think your thoughts could, attract what happens to you. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that's true but even science is showing that depending on how you experience things, that affects your future experiences or future events that you see. So I do think karma is real.
Cool.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Arnav is a mediator that wants both parties involved in a dispute about destroyed property to settle and avoid small claims court. In order to facilitate the deal, though, he must lie to both parties. If he goes through with the lie, then later forgets this day, will karma come back around to bite him?
Maybe, but I'm more concerned about the authorities that potentially, by being fraudulent in nature, I'm more concerned about the legal consequence that he's now willingly putting himself in. So yes, but in a practical sense, I would say you don't want to lie to the government. You don't want to lie to authorities and other people because it can really, depending upon, is this a state where people have guns and walk around with them to Walmart? Like, you want to just try to be a good person, people. Like,
but he's doing it to the benefit of both parties because otherwise they could go through a whole.
I mean, I grew up under that notion where people will justify lies for the better good of others, and it doesn't shake out how people think it shakes out. It really doesn't. It just really creates a situation where you're forcing people to have to move away from the madness and not wanting to hear and deal with the continued lies and fairy tales. It's tiring and it doesn't shake out. So yes, karma's gonna get you. He should say a prayer for himself and probably not do what he's about to do.
No, I would think that I actually don't think that karma is gonna get him because depending on who this guy is, he might be used to doing this thing and he might not even see it as bad. He might see it as good because he actually got both parties to settle. So I think in this case, I don't think karma's going to affect him because he probably thinks what he's doing is right. And that's one of the problems with karma. I think you gotta actually know what action you're taking. Like, is it a bad one or good one? And
so you're suggesting karma is subjective as opposed to objective? Because lying is an objective wrong.
Yeah, but I know some people can try to justify it, and some people would see the lie as a really good thing. And I think that's the issue at play, is that it depends on how you see the action. If you see that action as bad, then it's a problem.
Well, the lying is bad, right?
Yeah.
And so there is consequence for that lie. Maybe it's not direct. Maybe it's not necessarily monumental in nature, but a lie is a wrong, and you're committing a wrong. So,
but but it's kind of like you. So if we tally the karma, let's say we tally the lie compared to what he avoided for the people, he might see that as like a much bigger good. Mm-hmm. So I think that's gonna be stored in his karmic mind bank, basically, that he did good because he avoided the small claims court for these people.
Gotcha.
So in my mind, I don't think karma is gonna actually hurt him in this scenario.
Cool. We disagree.
I don't know if we disagree, but we both know about the karma effect. We both know there's a karma effect.
I'm not interpreting karma as subjective as you necessarily are.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm interpreting it as an objective, just like, scenario. So yeah.
Okay. So you consider objective then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Scenario 2. Zen is not superstitious and doesn't believe in ancient old folklore. He always looks out for his best interests at his company and will often fire other employees so he can get his year-end bonus. Do you think karma will right the wrongs of the misdeeds of Zen?
Wowzers. Okay, yeah. I think Zen also needs to say a prayer. These bad acts and these bad deeds. I mean, yes, ultimately he's doing something for the benefit of his life. And in life, you have to choose yourself and you have to try to get ahead, but you should never get ahead at the cost of anyone else, because that is not only wrong, I think that has karmic consequence. And regardless of how he's viewing it for his mind, subjectively, objectively, people would look at that and say that that's poor business acumen, that's poor business decision making, and it's putting other people's lives and livelihood at risk. So shame on you, Zen.
And that's what you think?
Si, senor. And your answer?
And my answer is, I think karma is definitely going to affect him because he knows what he's doing is wrong. He's firing people just so he can get a bonus. Like, he knows that's messed up. Mm-hmm. Like, he could forego the bonus and keep the employees. He could do that, but he's not. So I know in his mind, even though he's not admitting the truth, he knows in the back of his head, like, what he's doing is wrong. So this will count in the negative bin in his karma bucket. So definitely will have probably some issues in the future.
Okay.
Related to these decisions that he made at his company. Scenario 3. Anjali puts other people before herself in every single situation. When she is up for a promotion, she gives all the credit to her colleagues and insists they get it instead. Is all the good Anjali doing paying off? Will karma reward her?
No. So that's an interesting posed question, because it's kind of trying to get at the point of, is karma like an existing force outside of the other forces of life? And it really isn't. The karma isn't like a person. It's not some type of deity that's looking at you. It's just kind of the tallying up of good and bad happening in your mind and happening in life. And I think in this situation, she's just putting herself in harm's way for no apparent reason. And so it's quite disturbing. She also needs prayer, and she also needs to really speak with medical professionals who can help her understand the value of supporting her own life and her own mind and her own career. And no, she's not going to be benefited or paid off for the deeds that she's going to do. She's just literally railroading her own success. So this is classic self-sabotage. This is a shame.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to agree with that. Yeah, definitely. To me, that she's using the secret. She's given everything away and making sure everybody else benefits. So yes. I mean, yeah, they're gonna benefit. That's what you're trying to have happen. You're not thinking about yourself at all. So why should anything happen to you? I mean, you're giving away things that are coming right to you. Like, it's coming and knocking you in the head, and you're just like, nope, I'm not taking it.
Yeah.
So there's no way that karma could help. I mean, it's like good things are happening and you're like shoving them off. It's like if somebody gives you a gift and you just pass it along, there's nothing anybody could do about that. You're giving the gifts away. So
exactly.
That's up to her. So she needs to change her mindset if she actually wants good to show off in her life. Like,
yeah.
Think
absolutely.
about it.
And even in my own career, I've made a point to now big up myself more, just to like get it across the point that like, hey, I did this and because it is important that sometimes I think, especially women, we're kind of socialized to not really like play up your strengths and play up what you did. But at the end of the day, men are not afraid to do that. And for us to have a voice, you have to open your mouth. You have to speak, right? You can't be like, why can't anyone hear me? Open your mouth and speak, and maybe your voice can be heard. And so in this case, you know, I think if she lived her life that way, eventually all those good deeds would turn into kind of resentment and anger for her, because she's going to be like, for 20 years, I've been hyping up everyone and I get, you know, the short stick in the scenario. And it's like, because you pick the short stick, love, each and every time. You have to choose you each and every time, guys. It's not selfish. It's just self-preservation. It's got to put that on a t-shirt, actually. That one's a good one.
Possibly.
Yes, indeed. But guys, it's so sad because we're at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 132nd episode of Woke and Free. Really?
That was the karmic version.
That was the karmic version. This was quite the episode discussing whether karma really exists. Do you think it really exists? The only way for us to know is for you to download the Podbean app and share your thoughts in the comments with us. Now, will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we'll be discussing, would your partner choose you on the Netflix show Love is Blind? Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, submit a topic for an upcoming episode, or share how you feel on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. So that is WokenFree.com. If you want to hit us up on social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest at WokenFree. If you want to sponsor an upcoming episode, if you want to promote your business and have a curated, unforgettable, one-of-a-kind WokenFree ad, you know what you have to do. Hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokenFree Wednesday. Remember, WokenFree is more than a podcast, it is a way of life. Until next time.
Do it for your karma.
Oh boy.